The neon lights of Club Ziba flash against the crowded streets of Kampala. Inside, a woman sings, her voice is like silk, wrapping around every man in the room. Nalongo, the mysterious new performer, arrives in Kampala's nightlife like a storm, captivating everyone. But when Juma looks at her, something feels wrong, her feet never fully touch the ground. Juma watches in horror as Okello, a wealthy businessman, lives with Nalongo. The next day, he is nowhere to be found. The news says he left the country, but Juma feels otherwise. Aisha, Juma's friend, whispers that this isn't the first time men have vanished after being with Nalongo. Together, they start investigating, but Nalongo's magic is powerful. The more they dig, the more the city's powerful figures try to stop them. Juma accidentally drops a mirror in the club's storeroom. Nalongo walks by, and her reflection is missing. That's when Juma realizes she is not human. Frightened, Juma goes to Pastor Muwanj, who prays for him. That night, Juma has a terrifying dream. Nalongo's legs morph into cow hooves, and she drags men into a dark cave filled with bones. Juma tossed and turned in his small room behind Club Ziba, sweat beading on his forehead. He had seen many strange things in his life, but nothing compared to the vision he had during Pastor Muwan's prayers. Nalongo, her beauty unnatural, her eyes glowing like burning embers, her lips moving in silent song, stood in a dark cave filled with human skulls and bones. At her feet, men lay lifeless, their spirits hovering above them, trapped in an endless torment. But the most terrifying part? Her legs. Not human. Thick, fur-covered, and split into cloven hooves. Juma awoke with a gasp, his body trembling. He grabbed his Bible, flipping it open. Was this just a nightmare, or had he truly glimpsed into the world beyond? He needed to act. More men would die unless he uncovered the truth. The next night, Club Ziba was more crowded than ever. The air was thick with alcohol, perfume, and desire. Nalongo was on stage again, her voice curling around the men like invisible vines. Juma watched closely, his heart hammering. When she moved through the club, her feet barely touched the ground, as though she floated. He turned to Aisha, who was serving drinks. "Do you see it?" he whispered. Aisha frowned. "See what?" Juma realized only he could see her true form. Determined to prove his theory, Juma set a trap. He positioned a large mirror in the club's storeroom and waited for Nalongo to walk past it. When she did, his breath caught in his throat. The reflection in the mirror was empty. His hands shook as he reached for his phone, snapping a picture, but the screen went black, as if her magic rejected being captured. Nalongo turned suddenly, her piercing gaze locking onto him. "Something wrong, Juma?" she asked, her voice smooth as silk. Juma forced a smile, hiding his fear. "No, nothing at all." But he knew she was onto him. Detective Waswa, the skeptical officer, had been investigating the strange disappearances of men who were last seen at Club Ziba. One night, he confronted Nalongo outside the club. "Every man who lives with you is never seen again," he accused. Nalongo smiled. "Oh, detective, maybe you should come with me. See for yourself." The next morning, Waswa's badge and gun were found floating in the swamp outside the city. His body was missing. Juma's blood ran cold. Nalongo was getting bolder. Desperate, Juma and Aisha sought out Kikomiko, an old herbalist who lived in a secluded hut at the edge of Kampala. The old man listened as Juma described Nalongo's powers. When Juma finished, Kikomiko's expression turned grave. "You speak of Kembela, the demon of the night. She was once a woman, but she made a pact with dark spirits. Now she must sacrifice men to remain beautiful and powerful. How do we stop her?" Aisha asked. Kikomiko handed them a small calabash of sacred oil. "This can weaken her, but to kill her, you must face her on the night of the blood moon, when she is strongest but also most vulnerable." That night, Juma had another vision. Nalongo stood at the edge of a deep, black river, chanting in a language older than time itself. In her hands, she held a struggling man, his soul already peeling away from his body. "One more," she whispered. "And I will never die." Then, she turned and looked directly at Juma. "You cannot stop me, boy," she hissed. "You are already mine." Juma jolted awake, drenched in sweat. A wealthy minister, Mr. Kaima, had fallen under Nalongo's spell. Juma knew that if she claimed him, she would have enough power to vanish forever. That night, as Mr. Kaima left with Nalongo, Juma and Aisha followed them through the winding streets. Nalongo led Kaima to an abandoned shrine deep in the forest, where demonic symbols were carved into the stone walls. Juma had to act fast. Nalongo raised her hands, chanting in a deep, unnatural voice. The shadows around her pulsed, responding to her call. Kaima stood there, entranced, his soul already slipping away. Juma stepped forward, clutching the sacred oil Kikomiko had given him. He flung it toward Nalongo. A scream tore through the air. Nalongo's body shook violently as her true form was revealed, horns sprouted from her head, her nails turned into blackened claws, and her cow hooves stomped the ground in fury. "Foolish boy," she roared. With inhuman speed, Nalongo lunged at Juma. He barely dodged as her claws sliced through the air. Aisha dragged Kaima away as Juma threw the last of the oil at Nalongo. The moment it touched her skin, she convulsed in agony. Juma grabbed his Bible and began reciting prayers, his voice growing stronger as the shadows around them began to burn away. Nalongo screamed, writhing as divine light filled the shrine. A blood-red glow covered the night sky as the full moon emerged from the clouds, casting an eerie light over the ancient shrine. The air thickened with dark energy, and the wind howled like the voices of tortured souls. Juma gripped his Bible tightly, his heartbeat hammering in his chest. Aisha stood beside him, fear flickering in her eyes but determination setting her jaw. Behind them, Minister Kaima lay unconscious, his body weak from Nalongo's dark enchantment. Nalongo was on her knees, writhing in pain as the sacred oil burned through her skin. Her once beautiful face twisted with fury, her nails extending into sharp black claws. Her eyes turned entirely red, glowing like burning embers. "You think you can destroy me, boy?" she hissed, her voice no longer smooth and sultry but deep and monstrous. "I have lived for centuries, and you, just a mere child, dare to challenge me." Juma stepped forward, his hands trembling, but his voice strong. "You are a curse upon this land, Nalongo. Tonight, your reign ends." Nalongo threw back her head and let out an unearthly scream. The ground beneath them shook violently, and suddenly, the forest around them came alive. Dark figures, shadowy spirits, the remnants of men she had sacrificed, rose from the ground, their hollow eyes glowing faintly in the night. "Stop him," Nalongo commanded. The spirits charged at Juma and Aisha, their ghostly forms twisting unnaturally as they howled in agony. Juma barely had time to react before the first spirit lunged at him, its skeletal hands reaching for his throat. He fell backward, his Bible slipping from his grasp. Aisha screamed as another spirit wrapped its ghostly fingers around her arm, its touch as cold as ice. Juma gasped for air, struggling against the weight of the spirit pressing against him. Aisha. Use the oil, he choked out. With shaking hands, Aisha grabbed the small calabash of sacred oil and splashed it onto the spirit attacking her. A piercing shriek rang through the forest as the spirit burst into flames and disintegrated into ashes. Juma kicked away his attacker and scrambled to his feet. He grabbed his Bible once more and opened it, his voice rising with power as he began reciting scripture. In the name of the Almighty, I command you, be gone. The words burned through the air, and the spirits howled in agony as their forms began to crumble. One by one, they vanished into the night, leaving only a swirling mist behind. Nalongo staggered to her feet, her cow-like hooves stomping in rage. Her skin cracked and split, revealing a dark, pulsating energy beneath. You cannot defeat me, she spat, her voice distorted. I am eternal. But Juma stood tall, his eyes unwavering. You were only as powerful as the fear you spread. And now, your fear ends. With a horrifying shriek, Nalongo's body began to twist and mutate. Her elegant human form melted away, revealing a monstrous creature beneath. Her arms lengthened, turning into thick, muscular limbs covered in dark, matted fur. Her fingers sharpened into claws, her spine arched unnaturally, and her head transformed into a grotesque half-human, half-beast form. Her eyes burned like molten gold, and her massive cow-like hooves slammed